Welcome to the Short Rod Show. You're talking with Ben.
And you got Brett.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We are cranking out episodes down here in the basement. Once again, recording on a beautiful night.
Yeah.
Just having a good old time chatting ice fishing. So if you guys are knowing of anybody that is interested in ice fishing, pass our podcast along to them.
Yeah, I think really that's where we get a lot of our listeners, just word of mouth. Folks enjoy it. They're saying, hey, check this out. Share it with their page. Tell their brother about it or their grandpa or whoever. And
Yep.
that really seems how we get a lot of our listeners.
Yeah, and we're on season 3, and I think we're still getting better at it.
I mean, when you Google us, I mean, we do pop up on the internet. So that does help a lot.
Absolutely.
I would also, I mean, we haven't gave a little shout out for quite a while yet, but we do have a merchandise page if you're ever interested in picking up some mugs, sweatshirts, T-shirt, something, support the Short Rod Show, stickers. I mentioned that. I think we've only mentioned the merch maybe one other episode, maybe two, but if you're ever just purely interested in supporting the Short Rod Show, buy a sticker. They're the cheapest item we got on that merch store, but they also give us the most bang for your buck as far as return back to the Short Rod Show. So
yeah, and Brett and I, we're not professionals. We're two average dudes, like it says in the description.
Especially that merch,
down in our basement.
That merch store is 100%. All I did was make some designs, and the website that we went through does everything else. So the prices are kind of already set in stone. I don't really have a lot of They're a little steep sometimes, but
that works.
I will say they're nice. Everything that I've ordered from there, absolutely. I've been extremely happy with the quality of
this tumbler is going to be a sweet Christmas gift.
You can't tell me that.
Year.
Yeah, that's not one of the, that's just every bit as good as a Yeti. It doesn't have the brand on it, but they're fantastic.
Pretty cool. So what are we chatting about today, Brett?
Today I think we're going to start getting into some actual fishing tactics. So we kind of reserve the beginning stage of the season to talk about gear, because that's really when you buy all your gear and stuff. So
buy gear, clean your gear.
It's the most appropriate time to talk about gear.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about actually using that gear.
All right.
Specifically on the ice, let's try to catch some fish. So start the season, we had Ice Goals, which was our season 3 opener.
Such a great episode. Dang it.
We talked about, kind of how we want to approach this season, maybe a little differently than what we've done previous seasons. Or not necessarily Short Rod Show seasons. I mean, like ice fishing seasons.
Yep.
So in the past, we've been very heavily targeting crappies, bluegills, small ponds, weed lines, that sort of stuff, and extremely successful at it. We'll continue to do that, I think.
Yep.
Just because that's very accessible to us.
That's our jam. That's what we're known for.
That's the bread and butter. If I want to go out and catch fish, that's what we're going to go catch fish on.
Absolutely. Yep.
But this year I kind of want to challenge myself and challenge Ben, and Ben wants to challenge himself on trying to do a few new things that we haven't done in the past. So if we ever do indeed get ice, they claim we will one day, but I don't know if that's actually going to happen. I want to specifically target walleyes, Iowa walleyes specifically.
Iowa,
which is a little bit of a unicorn in Iowa.
On lakes, on rivers.
Yeah, but ice fishing is not.
I know. I'm just saying. There's a lot of good river walleye.
Yeah, there
caught.
is open water. Yep, definitely.
But lakes, that's a different beast.
It can be a little tougher.
Yeah.
Specifically, I want to try to target more through the ice.
Yeah, and if you guys know, in Iowa here, we do have some natural lakes that have a walleye population that's sustainable. Okoboji, Spirit, Western Iowa, Northwestern Iowa, basically. Yep. I think that's about it.
That's it. Yeah.
Everything else is getting pulled from there, stocked.
Yep.
Just all stock stuff. So
a
little bit more rare to get in on the big guys.
Yeah, you're not finding a lot of natural population, but everything's stocked. So there is. I mean, you got to give credit to the DNR where credit's due. Any walleye you're catching other than there in the IGL area is a stocked walleye. Yep. More than likely. And so, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due on that. I mean, those guys,
that's
your
a huge undertaking.
licenses, everything helps pay for that to go towards all that. So, I think in the past, I've never really targeted walleye. I've had some accidental catches, while we're crappie fishing, while you're catfishing, whatever. You'll pick up a walleye every so often. But I'd like to actually try to sit down, tune it in, see if we can figure out to try to target a few. So I've done a little bit of research on close by lakes so that I can try to do a little bit more than just a, one send for a weekend sort of thing, so we can try to repeat a pattern or find something. But
Heck yeah. All right.
Also, the other goal I was trying to figure out and try to set for myself this year is to, in the past we've talked a lot about catfishing.
Cat daddy.
I would like to specifically figure out how to target larger cats. So I'm talking 30 inches, 10 plus pounds. Channel cat.
All right. 10 plus.
I want a big boy. I want a big daddy.
That's gonna.
I don't want to only be the cat daddy. I want to be the big daddy.
The big cat daddy. I like it. Yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
So
go for some catfish action.
I've got some ideas, and I think that's what we'll discuss in this podcast. Kind of the theory or thought, how I want to approach it. But it's certainly not applied information. I think you're through the season here as we try to attempt to do those things. You'll kind of follow along and hear our wins and our losses.
Yeah, and that's
what we learned.
That's what I think you guys really want to hear about is how it actually goes, how we planned it to go versus how it actually goes.
Yep.
What worked, what didn't, and like I said, we're just two average dudes that are out ice fishing when we can and having a good time.
On those two topics specifically, you're not listening to experts. By no means are Ben and I experts on either of those two, catching walleyes in general.
There you go, yeah.
Or trying to target large cats.
Yep.
That's not an expertise there.
Plenty of stuff on YouTube if you're looking for experts on that.
Yep. So, but I think
it'll
be interesting from a listener standpoint and from my own standpoint, just talking and thinking through it, because that's what I get out of this podcast is being a little bit more cerebral about what we're doing out on the ice. Like, I'm fishing these fish and I'm catching these fish, or how am I approaching these fish, and then just thinking about it, rather than just doing it and not thinking about it.
Yep.
So I think that'll be an opportunity for listeners to just kind of hear about the progression of how you learn to do something in real life. I mean, yeah, there's going to be some hiccups and some problems along the way. And there might be an episode or two here where, we went out and we didn't catch anything.
Man, that'd be a bummer.
And we'll talk about some of the maybe what we tried and how it didn't work. Yep. It might not be the most exciting episode, but I think that'll keep it real.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what is missing a little bit too. You look at the YouTube side, the podcast side a little bit as well, but there's a lot of YouTube videos that don't get made because
you don't
hear
about the failures. Fish. Yeah, you don't hear about the failures. Well, which they're not that exciting to listen to. But
I get that, but at the same time, that kind of bums me out because it's like, all right, there's no way they're out there every day catching fish all the time.
Yep.
There's there's too much that changes to have that be accurate.
If I try to bridge this to other things that I consume in the outdoors, which is like deer hunting videos.
Yep.
You do that. I mean, so I listen to I watch the Hunting Public, both their YouTube videos and their podcast. And
you're all in on those guys.
Oh, dude. Great. Well, I'm just so pumped up. They're from Iowa.
They're Iowa.
They're out
of
Albia.
Yeah.
They're just good dudes, and they're just pumping out deer. And
that's cool.
They're awesome.
Yeah,
and specifically this year, it's been a struggle for them. Like last year, they were slaying big bucks all season long. Like it didn't matter what they could just walk out into a field and there's a big buck, bam, shot it, done. Where this year, like there's a lot of failure going on in there. But frankly, as a viewer, I've learned more this year than I have in previous years.
Yep.
Just of what's gone wrong, and how that's worked. So I think that's something missing in the fishing world as far as the fishing fishing media, I guess maybe world is. How do you discuss and talk about fishing failures, and not be extremely boring?
Yeah,
we were just sitting out there soaking our worm and getting drunk.
Yep.
I mean,
there's only so much that you can take.
Yeah, exactly. So,
oh, that's cool.
I think that'll be interesting. And Ben will tackle his goal of Mississippi.
Yep. And before we cut to a break, grab the lures we were talking about. So some of you reached out.
Oh,
wanted to know about some of the lures we were talking about because we didn't really know what they were called. Made a trip over to Hank's Bait and Tackle in Waterloo, which is kind of they got some obscure stuff. They have literally a wall of just jig, Plano 3700 boxes of every kind of random jig you can think of.
Things you've never even seen.
Yeah. And like home built stuff. Real small production kind of stuff. So the baits we were talking about that had a little silver blade on a regular hook with a little rubbery kind of worm over it with an eye on is called a Rembrandt.
The Rembrandt.
The
original Rembrandt.
So picked up a few more of those, and the ones I have, I think are just all yellow.
That's not like a lead jig, though.
No.
That's like you imagine like a little spoon.
I think it has a little bit of
hook.
lead in there. You see what I'm talking about?
But it's not like
here?
a dropper jig, is what I'm trying to say.
No, this
Describe
is totally,
that a little bit.
This is kind of a totally custom kind of deal.
It's like a flat tin spoon sort of
deal. Yep. Got a spoon towards the top where you tie on, and then a hook towards the bottom with a rubber worm threaded through there. The rubber part
it's like a rubber condom on there. I don't know how else to describe it, to be honest.
Basically,
I was trying to think of a little sleeve.
Yep.
I'm curious why. What's the point of it? Does it help float, I wonder? If it gets a little air in there?
I think it's all for looks. I think it's all just, that's your bait. That's what it looks like.
Is that solid rubber or is it like a tube?
It's a tube.
So it definitely does capture air then at that point.
Yep.
Wonder if it helps it float a little bit.
Yep. And then what's cool about these is the old ones that I have, I think are just yellowed out and aged out.
Yeah, they're all just one color.
Yeah, they're kind of all brown and orange-ish, like dull orange. I got some bright yellow ones, some pink ones, some purple ones, and little different colors.
And the thing I find interesting about those is there's a little eye on them.
Yep.
Why?
So
and the eye's on the wrong end. Usually, the eye is towards the eyelet, towards the front of the bait, where the eye on this is more towards the hook of the J of the hook.
I don't know, Mr. Rembrandt will have to call in and tell us about it.
The original, well, Rembrandt, he painted all them funky paintings, right?
Well, these are
maybe the eye is the opposite direction. That's why it's a Rembrandt.
There you go.
I literally just made that connection as I was talking.
Leave it to Hanks though for having the most random collection.
Did it say who made those?
No, it just says Rembrandt jigs.
There wasn't a manufacturer.
Maybe 89 cents or 99 cents.
See, that's the beauty too. Is I like these. Is they're cheap.
Yep. So that's pretty cool. And Hanks has a lot of stuff on their website too.
I really like this little white one.
You got to go to the shop in person in Waterloo there to see some of that stuff. That's really.
So as I look in this bag, Ben, I can't get the sucker open. Been having had too many Millers.
The little pill bag.
There's a little white one in there. It looks like a little maggot.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one a lot.
That's not a Rembrandt though. That's a different one.
Oh, it is different.
That is called. Shoot, we didn't bring the cheat sheet down.
That's fine.
That had it on there.
That's fine. Huh.
It's called like Premier Jig or something.
Interesting.
So
cool.
That and picked up a couple Killer Binkles too. Because, that's kind of a cool profile.
I'm never fished with them. I'll be interested.
I'm excited to try some of these more obscure, different action, different profile baits rather than just a dropper jig.
To me, that's the deal when you're fishing pressured fish is having something with a little different action. Yep. It doesn't have to be wildly different. Just a little, just a fraction of a difference can make it massive.
And I was talking with Brandon about the big bluegill episode, In Depth Outdoors, last week.
Sure.
Well, this will be like 2 weeks ago when you guys hear this, but
catching
big bluegills in Minnesota, and they're literally, those fish do not get that big and old by being dumb.
No,
like they're dialed in. They know when something's goofy,
and
they're not going to bite it. They're going to get spooked and run away. So, having something like caddis cane and a Rembrandt and some of those little goofy jigs, that makes a difference on some of those finicky bluegills like that. So, Anyway, that was a little digression there, but that's all right. We take it as it comes here, pretty laid back.
Yeah, that's going to be a hell of an episode, I think.
Heck yeah. So that'll all be coming up next on
The Short Rod Show. Ben, where have you been? We've got a Short Rod Show episode to drop here in a half an hour.
Ah, shoot. I've been outside blowing snow in my driveway for the last hour. Jeez, give me a break, Brett.
Man, you just got to hire that out.
I don't know. Like, how would I find someone that could do it?
I don't know. I just look up on Google.
Yeah, that could work, but how do I know they're any good?
All I know is that the best companies use Evergrow Marketing to show up on Google.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know Evergrow Marketing is a digital marketing agency that provides straightforward solutions for local service businesses.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Well, Brett, it means if your business relies on leads and inquiries from your surrounding area, they'll take care of your website, make sure you're showing up on search engines like Google, and make your phone ring with new business. They've worked with landscaping and lawn care companies, roofing contractors, car dealers, hospitals, banks and credit unions, and more. If you own or work for a business that could use a little help with the digital side of your marketing, check them out over at evergrowmarketing.com.
Also, tell them that Ben and Brett over at the Short Rod Show sent you, and they'll knock 10% off your first bill.
You know, Brett, I was poking around on Facebook the other day, and I could just not find the Short Rod Show. What's the deal?
Oh, you just got to punch us in on Google.
What do you mean? We show up on Google already?
Oh, yeah. The Evergrow team hooked us up.
Holy cow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal. I'll try that now.
Yeah, right. You just punch in Short Rod Show, and we'll come up on our website, shortrodshow.com. It'll come up on Podbean, Stitcher, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Awesome. So people can find us all over now.
Yeah, all over the internet.
That's great. We're also on Instagram, too. I've been trying to keep up with that. Posting some cool pictures. When we're out on the ice, you can check us out there, too.
Yeah, sweet updates.
Awesome. Check us out, guys. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us through the break. We're going to chat about some walleyes and some cats through the ice. Yep. This is Brett's grand scheme of the 2021-22 season. Mostly 2022 season at this point.
Yeah, the 21 season's toast.
Central Iowa, it's just been rough.
Yeah.
Hopefully, real soon we'll be out on the ice.
Yep.
It's just been brutally warm.
Blue balling.
Yep.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So what kind of walleye tactics are you thinking about here?
So yeah, we'll open her up with the walleye. Well, I think just to kind of start out with is that's really just kind of hole in my game. I think is I just never really target walleye. In Iowa, there's so many others. There's a handful of other species that are just easier to target, and you can just catch a lot more of them. They're just as big a fish, the whole deal. But walleye is kind of the gold standard.
Yep.
And I think let's get after it, see what we can figure out. And I think there's some opportunity there to figure it out because, and really the reason we started this podcast is, try to give the southern ice belt perspective on fishing.
Absolutely.
And a lot of folks are out walleye fishing, and that's a fish that covers the gamut of all the ice belt pretty well.
Yep.
How do we catch walleyes in Iowa versus how do you catch walleyes in Minnesota?
Well, I think in Minnesota you just catch them. You just drop down in a hole, and then walleye just gets snagged in your hook.
Yeah,
that's kind of how that works up there.
Or in Canada, also.
In Canada,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little different story down here.
In Iowa, we don't have a natural population, so they're all stocked. Yep. And our lakes just set up different. We don't have natural lakes; they're all, by and large, they're man-made lakes.
Are all man-made. Yeah.
There are some natural ones as you get in northern Iowa, but by and large, man-made lakes that have been stocked with walleyes, and people do catch them. They are alive. They are edible. So I need to figure out how to catch them. So I think that's going to be my goal.
That'll be cool this year.
Yep. So
I'm in my mind, and we haven't talked about this before, but in my mind, I'm thinking Brett's going to be hitting Clear Lake, fishing spoons.
Last
the first thing that comes to mind
is going to go to Clear Lake. The last place I'm going to go is Clear Lake.
Oh my goodness! Not giving him enough credit.
No, I'm not. Number one. It's too far. It's an hour and a half away.
All right. Yeah.
Which there are walleye lakes that are closer.
Yep.
And I feel like there are walleye lakes that are better and produce bigger fish.
Ooh.
That are closer to the metro.
Shots fired. That's cool because the slot going in on Clear Lake is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, that's an interesting deal.
We talked about that a little bit, but
well, no, it's not. It's less of a big deal because now we can start keeping all them cigar walleyes that we could catch.
the 12-inchers.
Yeah, we can start keeping them now because they're in the slot. They're open game.
I just don't see that working out very well. But
maybe we can just cook them whole.
Oh, there you go. That did not work out last time either. Oh, that was not as expected.
But I guess, I started out just kind of a little hit list of lakes, and I don't really want to list those off.
We're not going to blow up lakes
that's
here.
Appropriate, but get on the DNR website.
Yep.
Check out their new revamped fish survey. Oh my god,
that's super cool.
It gives too much. I hate it. It gives too much information. It's going to blow up my lakes.
So that's like some power Excel stuff going on.
Yeah.
I mean, major filter on literally whatever you want. You want to figure out what lake has 10+ inch bluegills.
You just push 10+, and then what lakes that they've caught those in.
Yep.
Done. And then there's the lake.
Yep.
So that's going to hose up my lakes pretty quick, I think, if people are using it.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about it.
Dang it! Don't use the DNR site, guys.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It just lists out those lakes. Bam, bam, bam. Right. And there's some. Specifically with the walleyes, there's some lakes that are not very far away that have some pretty decent walleyes in them. I mean, obviously, there's the popular ones, but so hit list of lakes.
Okay.
Got the closest ones where I feel like there's a fishable population.
Yep.
Number 2.
So what are you talking fishable population? How do you find that on the DNR site? You're talking like by numbers of fish, or you're talking
I'm looking for anything size, a little bit of a size structure, anything that's above stocking size. Basically, is where I'm at right now. I'm not after a big walleye. I just want to be able to figure out how to consistently and confidently catch walleyes.
That's a tall order. I feel like this will be a 2-season kind of thing.
It might be. You know,
that's a lot of
where we go out
stuff going
and try
on.
to catch wall dogs and not catch anything. That might be what happens.
And I think that's what's been holding us back, because we've kind of gotten in a comfort zone of, all right, we know our jam.
We know our bluegills and we know our crappies. I know I can go out and catch those.
Yep. Have some good action.
Really on any lake.
Yep.
I can go anywhere and I'm confident I'm going to catch bluegills and crappies.
But then the walleye deal, that's a whole nother world. So that'll be a mindset change, I think, on both of our ends of figuring out, all right, it's all right. We're going to follow the program. We're going to get them.
Well, and I think the number 2 thing is understanding those lakes that you're looking at. So there's particular lakes where there's a lot of brush, a lot of trees, very deep, a lot of breaks. Then there's other lakes that aren't quite as deep, not nearly as much structure. Further south, there's that north-south gradient.
Yep.
Frankly, in my experience, the further north you go in Iowa, the more pressure those lakes get.
Yep.
The further south you go in Iowa, for whatever reason, they get less pressure.
Yep.
There's just not as many people going out to those. Yep. I don't know why. Yep. Maybe just because they don't freeze over as soon. So then people are like, well, I got to go to Clear Lake. And then you just never leave Clear Lake, I guess.
Yeah, people following the hype. That's been a big deal.
So being able to follow that a little bit, I think bait and presentation is going to be a big deal. I think as far as location, I think that's very lake specific. And I don't know how to talk about that at the moment without actually going out to those lakes and fishing them.
That'll be a part 2 of this.
As far as like structure and where you find these fish set up on.
Yep.
I will say that I've got on my phone all the rock piles marked. On the hit list lakes that I've got.
Okay. Yep.
Because they don't call them gravel lizards for nothing.
There you go.
And I think bait's going to be a big one. That one I'm not afraid to really dive into at the moment, anyways. Obviously, the rattling flyer is going to be big.
That's the key.
I think I'm going to be dusting off the Swedish pimples. I haven't fished very heavily with the Swedish pimples lately. And I think particularly gold. In Iowa, for some reason, gold just seems to be everything.
That is pretty money.
That walleye I caught last year, same like I caught that big bass on.
Yep.
Minnow head and a gold rattling flyer.
Yep. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
Man, getting me pumped up.
So
we're sitting down here talking about it. We need to be out there on the ice actually trying this out. That'll be the next step.
At least in my experience here in Iowa, on accidental catches have been fairly deep. I would say 15 plus feet of water, usually near a break. Not necessarily on a brush pile or rock pile or anything like that, but near a break or something like that. I'd say is where most of my accidental catches are, where we're fishing for crappies or cats or whatever might be biting. But
see, that could be a good dual purpose with cats too.
Yeah, I think sticking with the walleyes for a minute is going to be, instead of the minnow head, I'm thinking about changing it up and trying to get some shad.
Okay.
Because honestly, shad is our forage base in Iowa. Now, a lot of these lakes are a little bit overrun with perch, so perch might be one that we need to get after. Which, now that you could basically use in Iowa, you can basically use any fish you catch with a rod and reel.
Yep.
You can use as bait. Now that's not the law everywhere. So if you're listening to this out of state,
I think that's kind of unique.
Do not do this.
Yeah.
But as I catch perch, I'm going to start chopping them up. If I catch a little perch, I'm going to chop them up and put them on my hook.
And we're talking like 3-4 inch.
Yeah. Like the ones that are just pestering.
Jumbo. Yeah,
exactly. Just pestering you sort of deal.
Yep.
Catch perch, chop them up, put them on the hook.
You talking about using the head, using the tail, using a chunk?
I think the head's going to be too big almost. It's not going to be like a fat head minnow where you got a little head you can pinch off.
Okay.
I think if you just try to use the head, it's going to be too big.
Yeah.
Maybe,
I like the idea of
maybe
the
a little
eye,
chunk
though.
with a little color, a little eye. I like the eye.
Yep.
That sort of deal. I think that's
maybe just the eye.
That's kind of where my head's at right now.
Have you seen that before?
Yeah. That's what I meant. Just the eye. Yeah.
Just literally take the eye out.
Yep.
There you go.
And
little
like the little
on ice
geekers that are
surgery.
just pestering you all the time.
Yep.
I think changing that up a little bit, getting away from just the fathead minnows.
Yeah, and that's what's frustrating around here is, I mean, we're running out a good ways to go get them.
Minnows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think if I can get just a jar or a package of frozen shad, and then be running with whatever perch or whatever I can catch. That I feel like is a forage base of that particular lake. I think that'll be money.
Yep.
And maybe even if I catch a small enough perch, I got some quick strike rigs.
There you go.
I'll drop them down the hole.
Yep.
On the schoolies.
Pike bait.
And I don't know. I think walleyes will bite it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you put a perch on there.
Yep.
That's something I feel like you Minnesota guys are really licking your chops on. Like, God damn it.
I can see it.
That would be so money in Minnesota. Where,
yeah,
that's a negative. No go up there.
Yep. There's game fish and there's bait fish.
Where Iowa, it's all bait fish.
Everything's bait.
I'm going to tie on a 15-inch walleye to catch a 30-inch walleye.
Exactly. It's all about the food pyramid, basically. Where it's like, oh, yeah, you catch this, you can use it to catch this.
Yep.
You catch that, and you use it to catch something bigger.
I feel like I would really love to catch like a 10-inch walleye and put him on a quick strike ridge and take a picture and just put that on the internet. Just put that out for the internet to see and see what people have to say about it.
Oh, my gosh. We would never live it down. No, doesn't matter how big the walleye is.
That's just like me pickling my pike or my muskie that I want to catch.
Pickled muskie.
I would love to eat a muskie and see how it tastes like. But regardless.
Anyway.
Man, I really like that eyeball idea on those perch. Yeah. That's a good idea.
I think that'll be kind of key.
Brushy, that'd be real good. Yep. We've talked a lot about brushy. I'm not worried about saying brushy. It's hard enough to fish that you guys can all go out there and not ever catch one.
Knock yourselves out. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. So what about catfish?
Channel cats, I think that's gonna be a little different deal. Frankly, I'm not really sure how to target just the bigger ones. Mm-hmm. I know areas to target cats.
Mm-hmm.
Deeper parts of the lake. And when I say deeper is relative to the lake that you're fishing. Is the tough part to say on how to describe that on a podcast. I would tend to say if the lake is less than 15 feet, I would say the deepest part then at that point.
Yep.
If the lake is deeper than 15, so say you're getting into, and quite a bit deeper now, if it's 20 feet, then I'd say 20 feet. But if you're getting much deeper, 20 foot, then you're going to get into a portion where I would say the deepest 80%.
Yep.
So if you got a 40-foot deep or 100-foot deep lake, well, that would.
That's too deep.
I wouldn't say 80 feet. That'd be pretty freaking deep. Somewhere between 20 and 40 feet. I would never fish deeper than 40 feet.
Yep.
I just wouldn't. It would never cross my mind to try to find fish deeper than 40. But yeah, relative to the lake that you're fishing, if you're fishing a lake that's less than 50 to 40 feet deep, I would just go with the deepest 80% of that lake. To start with. Secondly, structure, just like any other fish. Mm-hmm. Steep breaks, that sort of deal. Anywhere that current might be going through that water, that'd be a good place. Or where the water might be draining out. So like a lot in Iowa, where we got a lot of man-made lakes, there's almost always an overflow or something on there.
Yep.
Somewhere around there, while the ice can get a little sketchy, remember, check it if you're trying to fish those areas.
Don't take it for granted.
Anything that dies will tend to kind of flow that way.
Yep.
And that's what the cats are there to pick off.
Yep.
So those types of areas would tend to be pretty good towards dams, that sort of deal.
Sweet.
And towards dams are good all year long. But those are the kind of areas I'd fish. If you're looking for structure, I've said it before, is deep wood. And not just like a brush pile, like a Christmas tree. I'm talking like a tree, like a big branch or a log.
Yeah, something substantial.
That sort of deal. Not like all this wispy Christmas tree stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Something substantial that they're sitting next to, that they feel like they can kind of hide and blend in next to, or pick off bugs and stuff that are living off there to feed on. So, something deep like that is usually pretty good. And then again, I've said in previous podcasts is later in the season, especially in Iowa, as some of those young of the year shad die off.
Yep.
Again, anywhere that water's flowing and that might be a spillway or something like that, that's going to be key, because all those young of the year dead shad are all flow in that direction. It's basically like you're fishing ice out cats before the ice out. They're still there feeding. Yep. Those shad are dead. It's just you just got to find those places. It's not as obvious when once the ice goes out. But bait wise,
shad.
This is the area. Yeah, shad. Yeah, shad guts. I think is going to be a big one.
Yep, that's a big
waxworm still has been pretty good, but I think I'm cross whether I want to try to upsize my presentation or not.
All right.
I don't know because they're just such light kind of biters.
Yeah.
That I don't know that a bigger one would be more attracted to a bigger bait.
Yeah. What about night crawlers?
If you can get them.
Casey's has them.
In the winter?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I'd be willing to try that in the wintertime.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get them.
Better stock them up and hang
I'd be
on
willing
to
to
them.
try that.
Yep.
That's actually a really good thought. Yeah, I don't know. The one thing that I want to make sure that I do is get a hook. So if I'm running like a jig, like a horizontal presentation jig,
yep,
is I want a hook. I want a fairly large hook. Like before, I've run like low regular tungsten, 5 millimeters, and they get caught on the sand on their teeth on the sandpaper mouth, and I feel like I've missed some big ones. Yep. Because it just gets caught on there and it pops off.
So I know they make those jigs.
I want some longer shank
with
jigs.
A longer shank with a wider gap, just specifically.
And I've got those. That's that new jig that Widowmaker came out with. That to me when they came out, I was like, yes, I want that. Like that size profile, smaller still, but just a longer shank on it for that.
Yep.
For that fish to come and bite it and that hook to sit a little bit deeper in the mouth.
Yep. Actually get some traction on
it. Yeah, get a little bite. Because I've hooked a lot of them. I'd say almost maybe the majority of my cats that I've caught are on the outer lip. Yep. So you think of where that sandpaper mouth is, rather than being on the inside, it's almost usually been on the outside of that. So I've caught the sandpaper, and it's just happened to catch them on the outside.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then that's not a hook set that's ideal.
Yeah, then you're nervous pulling them up. You get them up, you see them,
you can't horse them.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
This is going to be iffy.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So I'm thinking that, I mean, obviously I've had a lot of success catching a lot of cats on spoons also. So then at that point, you're vertical and you're just running treble hooks.
Yep.
And I've still had the same problem, so I'm not sure how to remedy that with treble hooks.
Well, yeah, and treble hooks are hard too because the gap between the hook is
because
it's right up in there by the eye.
From what I've seen, it doesn't appear that the catfish is coming to feed like up like a crappie. Mm-hmm. It's just horizontal munching.
Yep. So you almost need like a wide gap treble.
Yeah, need something.
And then you're getting too big and upsizing too much sometimes. So.
Yeah, I've also thought maybe like a drop shot. So they have an opportunity to suck it in, but it's still heavy enough to get it down there.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
Drop shot ice fishing. I like that.
I've thought about it because I also like what the drop shot thought is that you're pounding that bottom, but you're not mucking up your hook.
Yep.
Because I like that
pounding
aspect
it with
of
the weight, and then your hook's kind of floating out over off on the side, kind of
still up high.
The breeze.
I kind of like that because there is definitely something to that pounded bottom and making some puffs of some sediment. Where fish are like, oh, something's going on over here.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Let's go check it out.
And then but sometimes when you do that, your hook gets fouled with muck or debris or whatever, where with that drop shot, it allows it not to get fouled like that.
Yep.
And especially, sometimes in catfish country, it can be a little bit hairy on the bottom anyways.
Yeah. Man,
I don't know.
That'll be cool.
I don't know how to target the big ones
This season's going to be sweet.
I don't know how to specifically.
Like I said, just getting revved up for it.
Yeah. I am pumped. Oh, man.
Because I was thinking back, too.
Chumming has also been something I've thought about.
Ooh, there we go. Chumming the water.
Like if I have a shad or something like that, just scraping scales off into the hole.
Yep.
Let those trickle down and maybe that'll bring them in.
Man.
I don't know. I've thought about it a lot.
Like the last 4 or 5 years, we've basically been out on the water by now.
Yeah.
Looking back. Like on some kind of water.
Yep.
Some kind of ice, so. Man, yeah, it's just hitting me hard.
But then I think about also, we've got some tried and true catfish spots here in town. Yep. And what is it about those spots? Because they stack up, catfish in the wintertime tend to be, the adage is 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water. With catfish in the wintertime, it's 90% of the fish are in 1% of the water. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are stacked up on top of each other in a very tight spot, and they're all there.
Yep.
So once you find them, you're on them.
Yep.
So just finding those pods, and I wonder, and I also believe that, and it happens with a lot of other fish, is where they kind of segregate themselves by size.
Yep.
So some of it might just be finding that pod of the bigger individuals.
Yep. Just searching that out.
And, it's already hard enough to find them. And then searching out probably maybe the 1 or 2 pods.
Yep, exactly.
In a 200-acre lake of the bigger ones might be a feat that we're not able to. Got to
work cut out for us, that's for sure.
You should have bought the live scope. That might help make it happen a little faster. But maybe
I think that definitely would help.
Oh, yeah, we'll need to scan. Oh, we'll be scanning for days.
Yep.
Just to find them stacked up like that. Because you saw here in town where, you scan over them and you'll see a little stack of them and you'll go bounce over there, drill. They'll scatter a little bit, but they'll come back eventually.
Yep.
I don't know.
Man.
I think that's going to be what it's going to come. Ultimately, I think it's going to come down to finding that pot of fish that are the bigger individuals. Because I think back when we ran your camera,
yep,
when we were doing that tournament on Rock Creek, and we came across that big pot of cats, when we ran your camera down, they were all cookie cutter identical, the same size.
Yep.
They weren't real big, but there was a freaking shit pile of them.
Yep. That's super cool.
So, and I think here in town, a lot of those fish are pretty well the same size that we catch here also.
Yeah, I mean, they're stocked basically about the same time, and I mean, they have some different year classes and stuff, but
yeah, I feel like
I think the DNR found that cats to a certain point were getting pulled out once they're that 10
and they don't
range.
reproduce in ponds anyways.
Yep.
But so you got to restock them a little bit, but
yep.
Yeah, that one's gonna be a fun one to stay tuned on.
Man,
as we break that apart.
That'll be cool.
I'm excited for that.
It'll be a nice season this season.
I'm really excited to get a bend on the 40-inch schoolie on a big 10-pound cat.
That rod is gonna be just epic.
Oh, it's gonna be.
I need to be there right away with the camera.
Although, if we want to go viral, I got to be fishing the small schoolies. Small rod, big fish. People love it.
The 10-inch.
Yeah. People love
the shorty.
That. Yeah.
The club. Man. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Well, Ben, how are we gonna crush the Mississippi? What's your goal? Your goal on the Mississippi? Restate what your goals are and what you think.
So my goal this year was to get out on the Mississippi, fish the backwaters, get on a good perch bite, crappie bite, bluegill bite, random pike. I don't care. Whatever.
Well, I think it's important to stick with our bread and butter perch or crappie, perch, bluegill.
Oh yeah, that's going
to such a different body of water than what we're familiar with.
So if you guys don't know or aren't familiar with it, the backwaters on the Mississippi, they depending on where you're at, up in Minnesota, northern Iowa, they're generally frozen all the time in the winter. It's a pretty solid bet. Mm-hmm. There's places to get access to them where you can just walk out from a boat ramp or from some different access points there.
Give us quick before you go too far.
Yeah.
Quick little explanation on what are the backwaters? What's that mean? And kind of describe the backwaters of the Mississippi. Kind of like, what are you looking for? What is it?
So the backwaters are anything that's away from the main channel. So the main channel on the Mississippi is like the navigation, barge specific.
Yeah, you're not fishing. That's open water.
Minimum of 9 feet. Mostly a lot more than that. And that is all, controlled Army Corps of Engineers with dams, and they're trying to make sure they have enough water flowing down to keep barges afloat. The backwaters, on the other hand, are kind of the filter of the rest of the river, mm-hmm. where it fans out, spreads out over some sloughs, backwater areas that are they still have some current, but not a ton of current.
And they're not real deep. They're out of the current.
Absolutely. Yep.
They're off the main channel.
So like I was saying before with Minnesota and northern Iowa, the main channel on the river freezes all the time up there.
Not the main channel, the backwater.
The main channel does too.
Oh, okay.
Coming up to the dam. So the backwaters are froze long before that. Yep. No big deal getting out to it. All good. So yeah, if we wanted to, we could head up north, like Minnesota-Iowa border, pool, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever.
Sure.
All those, that all would be frozen pretty regularly. What we're looking at doing is hitting a little further south.
What kind of depth are we looking at with these backwater? Oh, what kind of depth? I've moved away from my mic a little bit.
We're looking at like 2 to 8 feet probably.
Yeah. Very shallow.
Yeah, somewhere in there. And these backwaters, what's interesting about them is that when you get a little bit further south, like pool 11, 12, 13, they're not frozen all the time. So it might be a little hit or miss. We're going to have to be a little fluid and flexible in our plans on where we're going.
Are you comfortable if we have to move further north?
Yeah, I'm comfortable in it.
Yeah. What pool are we targeting? Or are you okay with saying that?
I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
No.
Northern Iowa pools.
Yep.
Okay.
But with that, our goal would be to get out on a good bite, and hopefully, I mean, we're going to have our boat. I'm going to take my boat just in case. So, I mean, most of the time, you're going to need to get in somewhere and get access to some of these places.
Describe our path.
We're going to get a little adventurous.
Describe our path to get out there. From boat ramp to fish on the ice.
Yeah. So, with my boat, we conveniently figured out the quad fits in it. No problem. The otter can fit in it. No problem.
Both?
Yep. Absolutely.
Dang, Joe Dirt.
Absolutely. It takes a little bit of reconfiguring, so I'm going to pull the front seat out.
All right. Yeah, that's not a big deal.
No big deal. And then, I mean, all the rest of our gear. So we're literally going to tow the boat from central Iowa with the quad and the otter in it.
Yeah.
And look like two rednecks cruising down the
that's going to be awesome. Well, you don't have chickens in there, so you'll be all right.
And take that down to the Mississippi below one of the dams where the water stays open. I mean, pretty safe bet.
Yep.
That'll stay open. If it doesn't stay open, I don't know what we're going to do.
It's kind of a good situation, bad situation. If it's froze up, those backwaters are frozen hard.
Absolutely, yep.
So if it's open, you can get out there, obviously. But if it's froze up,
yep. I don't know. So
we'll surely find some open water somewhere, because they run water over those dams the whole time.
Yeah, so we're going to be flexible and kind of fluid with our plans.
Yep.
But we'll get out, launch the boat, head down the frigid waters of the main channel, and beach the boat, and unload the quad and the otter, and take off on the backwater. So
if we have to, we can go on the other side of the state.
Yeah, so from my understanding, if you do that, you need a different state's license.
Yeah, obviously.
But
that would be
last
case, worst case scenario.
Yep. So we're not just doing this to avoid doing that, but there's not very many good places. So what's the rule?
What's the law on license?
So an Iowa license covers all of the Mississippi River on the Missouri side and the Iowa side.
How far south are we going?
We're not going to, not the other side of Iowa, the west side. What I was saying.
The
Missouri River.
I was saying, I'm like, I thought we were going to be northern Iowa here, man.
The Missouri River. So on the Mississippi, it covers wherever you're launching from, you're good.
Where you launch from is the license.
I'm pretty sure, it might be.
It's not a line.
We should look that up, because we might end up pushing in on Wisconsin, Illinois territory. We'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's going to be our adventure trip. We're going to try and film as much as we can. Record, give you guys some updates on how it's going.
First week of February.
Yeah, that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah.
So hopefully we got ice around there. With that, we're going to bring enough people to make sure we're safe on it too, because that's the other deal. That, I mean, you're talking fishing lakes and lakes specifically. I mean, taking your spud bar and kind of knowing what you're doing, you're good. Rivers, on the other hand, it's a whole nother story.
So we've kind of covered a little bit, where that slough's going to be at, or what it means, and how do we fish that once we get there. So we got the boat, got everything loaded up. We offloaded onto some safe ice somehow.
What
are we gonna do once we get to that slough? How are we gonna?
I think we're gonna Panoptics scan
in 3 feet of water.
Yep. I think it's
not gonna be great.
Yep, I know.
We'll do it, but it's not gonna be ideal.
We're looking for just some structure. We're looking for different bottom content.
Anything that gets a little bit deeper. It'll be tough to see different bottom content.
And what's tricky about it is it's constantly changing. Like I went through this summer and kind of scanned a little bit with the boat in anticipation of that.
Where you want to fish.
It's going to be different.
You didn't have points where you picked up the deeper parts?
Yeah.
Well, then those will be the same still. They might be different depths.
But I'm talking,
still be the deeper part.
Structure-wise, though. Stuff floats in and out, moves around. Yeah.
Should drop
and then water level is going to be interesting, too. If it's
always hit or miss on that.
I
don't know what to think of that.
This is kind of like it's a real complex
How deep
situation.
was it when you went over the summer?
It was 4 to 5.
4 to 5, okay.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's very dynamic.
Yep.
situation.
Yeah, so if you guys are up for an adventure, you'll be following along with that. I'm really pumped about it. Like that's something that I've always wanted to do, and I've just never had the means to try it.
So what'll be, I guess, some unique tactics, baits that we'll be using maybe to catch. So your crappies. Let's just run crappies right now.
Yeah, I definitely think spoons. Absolutely.
Spoons will be it. Okay.
I do want to catch a crappie on a rip and wrap. I think that'd be legit.
Okay.
Never done that.
Oh, I meant like
a small.
Your tried and true go-to.
No,
maybe busting out your grandpa's hook.
Yeah, exactly. The old Rembrandt jigs. I think that'll still be
the Rembrandts will be money.
Here in Iowa too, you can have a 3-line license.
Yeah.
So I'll be rocking the 3 lines. Yep, tip up.
We'll get your homemade jaw jacker out there.
Yep, that'll be one.
We've yet
sure.
to catch a fish on that.
Man, that thing is gonna be sweet.
Yeah.
The PVC jaw jacker.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be coming up this season. I think you guys will be in for a treat. It's either gonna blow up and it's gonna be awesome, or we're gonna crash and burn, and that'll be fun to watch too.
Well, I mean, I'm just a little curious on, how far off the beaten path is this really? Like, there's gonna be other people out there fishing, probably, won't there? Really? We might be the only ones out there.
Yeah, so we need
top secret spot.
We need to take some extra people just to be sure we'll be good.
Okay.
Yep. I'm not doing it by myself. There's no way I would attempt this by myself.
So are we gonna put my Eskimo in the boat also?
I think we should.
Or maybe that'll be a second trip.
No, I think we can fit that all in there. Yeah.
And 5 people?
We might need to take a couple trips with the people, but
okay.
Yep. This is one of those trips where I think life jackets would be good.
Oh, everyone's got a life jacket on
all the time.
The float suit isn't gonna cut it.
No. Yeah, we're in or out of the boat.
Maybe we'll tie off to each other.
I wasn't gonna be opposed to that either.
Yeah. Shit.
When you're dealing with river stuff, it's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, it's very. So yeah, give me a lowdown on a difference between the rivers and the lakes. Like, what makes fishing a river unique versus the lake?
So I feel like a lake is gonna freeze somewhat uniformly. I mean, there's still stuff that's gonna affect it, like geese and wind and that kind of stuff. But generally, your water temp's pretty similar. You add current in the mix, and it's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, it can be whatever.
2 years ago on the river, we were fishing in solid 12, 14-ish inches of ice, no problem. And get a little bit off the beaten path, and it sank down to like 4 inches real quick.
There's a reason there was no path over there.
Looked the same. You would have no idea if you weren't spudding it, drilling it, checking it. So,
dang.
It's a whole nother animal.
Highly variable ice.
Absolutely.
Is going to be the
main deal. Yeah, just at the mercy of weather conditions too. So we're kind of
so much more.
We're kind of set on our dates just because we
got a plan. We got to do something.
We got families, we got jobs, we got stuff going on. So we can't just be like, oh, it's a good week to go fishing. Let's go take the week off.
The very worst thing that happens is we just end up at the bar.
Yeah, exactly. It'll still be a vacation for us. That'll be cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the lens we need to look through on this. It's going to be an adventure trip, but it's still getting away, having a good time fishing with some good friends. So that'll be a lot of fun.
That'll be awesome.
Yep. So yeah, follow along through that saga with us this season. That'll be cool. We'll post some stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wild season. There might not be a lot of fish caught this year.
I don't know if we're going after walleyes and cats. Yeah, I mean we'll go after some big suckers.
Yeah, I want to pull something big through the eyes.
Yep.
I mean, how popular was that? Me pulling that big bass through that little schoolie through the ice.
Yep.
We got like almost 70,000 views on Facebook.
Yep.
That's freaking crazy.
People eat that up. That schoolie rod. They just love it.
They love the squeal.
Yep.
Schoolie squeal. Oh man, I can't wait for that again.
It's been a long time since I've heard
it's been a while.
Yep.
I haven't greased them, so it might be even squealier.
I figured you wouldn't.
No.
You get that drag set right.
Yep. That's how you do it.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, we'll keep recording throughout the season here, guys. Get on some ice here shortly and keep chatting ice fishing with you. Love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It has helped curb the downtime here.
Yeah. Got to do something, man. If we're not out ice fishing, we're running around in circles.
Yeah. It sucks, but.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, appreciate the listen, and we'll talk to you next time.
Sounds good.
On the Short Rod Show.